discussion, we are making with the entity relationship diagrams, and there after that we have the next topic will be videos and assignment, etc. So we will now start with a new topic called as a normalization. So when we are talking about the word called as normalization, the first foremost thing was there are some anomalies, there are some errors why the table has to be normalized. So that means when there are errors, etc., the table will not be giving up a good type of values. So that's the reason why it is to be normalized. Then the next choice was, okay, fine. If such is a condition, then what type of errors are there? How you are going to rectify? So at that case, we will tell there are three types. One, we are going to call it as insert anomaly. Two, we are going to call it as an update anomaly. Three, one we are going to call here
deletions.
So we were inserting some information. Along with that information, some other additional information is going to be brought into a table. We say there is an insert anomaly. Similarly, we say that I want to update 2 or 4 columns for my table, but unnecessarily some other data is also updated. I don't know why it is happening. And similarly, I am deleting for some record, but the data which is dependent on that record is also deleted. So the dependency on that record is also deleted. So these are the chores which has brought the word called as a data inconsistency problem. Now, how can I go for bringing or solving inconsistency? Means, yeah, the approach was that it went to the word called as normalization. So we should create a table in such a way that there is no insert anomaly, there is no delete anomaly, there is no update anomaly. So if such type of conversions are making up, fine, then I can say my table is going to be normalized. Okay, if such is a condition, then how we are going to plan that? Means we have to work with scenarios which we need to look at the cases So there is a lot of disturbance from the network side. So 2 or 3 uh, times network issues are occurred. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, let us back to the class. So we were mentioning that the aim was we should be moved to the word called as functional dependencies. And why we are going with the functional dependency? Because we have 3 anomalies: insert, update, and delete. And all the 3 things, they are going to bring redundancy. They are going to give so the 3 contents will be one. Now let us look one by one word so that it is going to give us enough meaning what was exactly we are talking about. So the items what we are going to call here as quantity available. Now this quantity available, we are going to call it as a dependent variable. Now this dependent variable, if I want to get a quantity, I am looking at retail outlet and item code. So these 2 fields are there to get me a new field. That means if I want the retail unit price, I can't alone get it because the retail output price is dependent on 2 variables. So these 2 variables, we are going to call it as determinants. So functional dependencies will look with one determinant, another it will look at dependents. So the relation what we are going to build was that definitely a dependent is made up of determinant, and we should be aware what exactly is this one or more content. Otherwise, we will not be in a position to bring out the normalized values. Fine. Next one, we were talking that there are 3 types of content where the functional dependency is going to exist. So those 3 type contents, one we are going to call it as fully functional, two we are so a lot of network issues are coming up. So sorry for the inconvenience. And so when we talk about fully functional, or when we are going to talk about the other 2 dependencies, transitive, etc., the first word to be known is atomic. That means definitely any cell must have a value. Any cell must have a value. It should not be empty. If I am going to use a null value, yeah, you can use null value, but definitely its occurrence should be 1 if we are going to make it as a unique. So atomicity will accept the value, but still its occurrence will be considered only for one time. So this is where a anomaly is going to happen. After this, can see here item code followed by retail outlook. So both of them are bringing up from the determinant from the dependent. So if I want to get a quantity variable, definitely I should use this item code or retail outlet. Then we are going to call this description as a fully functional. If I'm going to use either or expression, either item code or retail outlet, then at that case, if I'm not able to get this description, then obviously this is where a partial functional dependency is going to happen. That means if there are two fields given, the two fields should be definitely used so that you are going to get this dependent. So quantity price, we are going to call that item as a fully functional content. But there is only one field we are rendering our applications to get the answer. At that time, the two are not directly bringing up the implication. Therefore, we call that attitude as a partial dependencies. And there is another word, one we call it as x to y and y to z, and x it is going to bring up x to z. So we call this property as a transitivity property, and this transitivity property should not be there in functional dependency. So transitivity dependencies should not occur. So if we are going to eliminate the transitivity dependency, then only we will be getting the word called as a normalization. So until unless a transitivity dependency is not exist, until until there is no partial functional dependency, until unless fully functional dependency is operationable, then only we can say that our table is going to be in the functional dependency form. With this, now let us see again there is some problem with the network. So entire content is also based on internet. So I'm doing this from InfytQ portal. Again, enough internet should be there to both this Teams and portal and the open board, etc. All are web-based applications, so it is time consuming for me. Yeah, now it is again operational. Fine. Here we are now bringing up the things. There is the normal forms with first normal form, second normal form, third boycott normal form, fourth normal form, fifth and sixth. So we will confine for InfytQ only up to these elements. They don't ask much on 5 and 6. They are primarily focusing up to 4th. So, and mostly they were looking to end up the queries up to boycott normal form itself. So first 3 normal forms are crucial and they are totally important for us to understand the things. So what I will do is I will first give a brief introduction in a whiteboard, then I will look with this content. So assume that there was a table and I am going to say student ID followed by name and age. So I have 1, 2, 3. Student ID 1, name is A, age is 3, age is 31, and student ID 2, name is B, and age is 30. So every field, or I can say every cell, has a value. So obviously it is meant with an atomic value. Therefore, first normal form will be satisfied. So I will give you an example. So 1, 2, if it is like this, student number followed by student name is AB and student 2 name is some CD, and both of them, they belong to a place called as Bhimavaram. Now you can say this is a anomaly. You can say this is anomaly because I can't give this Bhimavaram to a single cell. So this is what you are going to call it as an unnormalized form. Unnormalized form, and this unnormalized form has to be normalized. So how I am going to do this normalized means, even though it is a repeating content, I have to duplicate it. I have to duplicate it so that every cell is going to have one value. Then we are going to say it is again. The second element was second normal form. In this second normal form, the first thing was it must be in first normal form. And second thing, we should have a primary key. I'm talking very, very abstractly for understanding. So if you are going to mean that we are working in second normal form, it should satisfy first normal form and we should have a primary key. That means if I'm going to say student number, student register number, name and blood group and age. So obviously these three elements, they must be having a total dependency on the register number. So register number, we are going to call it as a prime key item, and these elements we will be calling it as non-key elements. So all the non-key elements should be totally dependent on a primary key. Then we are going to put this word called as a second normal form. After second normal form, we do have the third normal form. So in third normal form, the cruciality was that there should not be transitivity. There should not be any transitivity. So that is A to B and then B to C, then A to C. So this relation should not be there. That means I'm going to have one table and table 1, table 2, table 3. So you can relate table 1 and table 2, you can relate table 1 and table 3, but there should not be a relationship between these two elements. Otherwise, you can make a relationship between these two elements and you should have a relationship at only one. So the way you are going to put the fields, the way you are going to organize the things, that looping should not be there. Then at that case, we have to see that it is going to satisfy the third normal form. So these are the key principles when we are going to make the normalized form. So all these why we are going to use, because we will decompose the things, we will be following the boycott rules. So how we are going to do it means we will use the word called as a decomposition. So here the decomposition comes that splitting of the table as small as it can. We need to split the table as small as it can so that it will be satisfying the normalization, it will be satisfying the normal forms, so that it sees that there is no insert anomaly, update anomaly, or delete anomaly. Until unless these three are gone, you can't say that my table is going to be part of the normalized. So let us put the things in a very structured format. First normal form, it should see that the items should be atomic in nature. Every cell should have a value. Every cell should have a value. Second thing was that there should not be any multi-values. I just mentioned A, B, and then if I'm going to put for both A and B, if I'm going to put for both A and B Bhimavaram, so obviously this is the technical word, we are going to call it as multi-valued. So this multi-valued should not happen. You can put A, you can put B, and then you can put BVRM, you can put BVRM. So in putting in this model, we are going to call the word as atomicity. We are going to use that word here as an atomicity. So this is the way we are going to produce the achievement of the first normal form. So in the table, what we are going to show us, you can see here the retail outlook table and followed by street, city, zip, item code, description, etc. So everything we are able to pull up the values here, and so again, coming to the second word, we are going to call here as second normal form. In the second normal form, the first and foremost condition was it should be in the first normal form. So I don't know what is happening today. A lot of internet disconnectivity is happening. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. So at this case, you can see the description is dependent on only item code, but there are two elements called as an item code and retail outlet, and retail outlet is not being taken this description. So it says functional normal form, a partial functional dependency is going to happen, and which it is not encouraged. So such type of partial dependencies should not be there. So there, how you are going to improvise the things means the improvising of the things will go up when we are going to establish a primary key. And third thing, as I just mentioned here, we are looking up with this transitivity dependencies. So where that is with the third normal form. So it should be in second normal form. Second normal form, definitely you should have a primary key. So primary key definition was introduced in the second normal form. Atomicity was introduced in the first normal form. This is the key takeaway. And coming to the third normal form, there should not be any transitivity dependency. You can see that you can see here the retail outlet and item code, they are dependent on retail unit price, and retail unit price is dependent on item class. And the thing was, retail outlet and item code, they are again pointing out to item class, so which is not encouraged. So how this is where the third normal form is glitching out, and that has to be fixed. If that transitivity is going to be fixed out, then we can say it is going to fit in the third normal forms. Industry giants, they are going to work mostly up to third normal form or boycott normal form. Even in software industries also, fourth normal form and fifth normal form, they are at the theoretical part. The implementation was totally difficult, and holistically, the way we are going to put the things will confine only up to the boycott normal form. So this was the takeaway you should understand. So if I am going to use a word called as normalization, the thing was I'm going to eliminate anomalies. So 1 insert, 2 update, and 3 delete. Then how I'm going to do it? I'm going to use for decomposition. So what is decomposition? We are going to split the tables. We are going to split the tables as small as it can. So it fits right from unnormalized form to first normal form, then it goes to the second normal form, and finally it fits up at the third normal form. So stage by stage we need to bring up, we need to decompose. So if it is not suiting in the second normal form, you split the table. Again, it is not fitting in the third normal form, you split the table. So as small as such that it obeys fully functional, doesn't obey partial functionality, doesn't obey transitivity. So all these three features are not going to be there. Definitely we can have a approach where with the primary key itself we can make this decomposition feasible. So let us see how the tables are going to be seen when it is going to be part of this normalized form. So the first criteria was it is totally an unnormalized issue. Then we are going to move it to the first normal form. So in first normal form, we are going to remove this. We apply atomicity. Thereby, we are going to remove the partial dependencies, bringing the functional dependencies. And then we are going to the second normal form. Then we are removing the transitivity property, then it is going to enter into the third normal form. So this is the staging what I was mentioning, right from first unnormalized relation to normalized form, putting atomic values at first stage, putting primary key at second stage, eliminating functional dependencies, and thereby eliminating transitivity dependencies. Obviously, these three, they are going to render up the content as in this format as we are shown here. So the theory is what the industry was looking and the theory is what at the book level, both you can feel they are equivalent. So the projects what you are going to look, definitely you should follow this normalization to make a front end and back end applications. Definitely with the normalization only it is going to be feasible. So let us look with a new word at this point. So the new word here was the structured query language. So in this structured query language, we have 4 categories of such items. One, we are going to call it as data definition language. 2, we are going to call it as data manipulation language. 3, we are going to call it as data control language. 4th one, we are going to call it as transaction control language. So the first thing, if we are going to look, will be the create command, where we will emphasize to create a table. Alter command, so if you forgot to put one field or at the creation or afterwards you want to modify the table, you create it with 4 fields, next you want to create a 5th field. So at that case we are going to modify the table, that it is going to be possible with the alter command. Followed by that, I don't want a table at this moment, so you are going to make a drop command. So in this way, create, alter, drop, and followed by the next junctures, you can have a quick view of all these contents. So I will just show you the holistic points. So here you are going to have the data manipulation command. So the commands what they are going to fall here will be insert command, the update command, the delete command, and select command. So coming to the select command usage, we have 6 clauses at this phase. Those we are going to call from clause, followed by where clause, followed by group by clause, followed by order by clause, and having clause. So with all these only we can retrieve the data, we can get the data from using the select command. So this is part, it deals with the creation of the table, which we are going to call it as a schema, and these operations we are going to build it on the over the table. So I can just draw you here. So I can have a table with 3 fields. So student number followed by student name and student mobile. So the color which I am going to use here is a red. These elements, they are going to be taken as data definition language. I can create a table, I can alter a table, I can drop a table, or I can truncate a table. But similarly, when I'm going to change this, items, so here I'm going to use this insert the rows at this case. At that time, I can use an insert command, I can use an update command, I can use a delete command, or I can select the command. So whatever tuples we are going to insert into these tables, so the internal operations in a table, they are going to be part with insert, update, delete, and select commands. So this is how you have to observe the change. Next one, I have this table, and this table, I just want to circulate it to my other friend with some certain privileges. So in order to fix up these privileges, they can be done with 2 words. One, I'm going to call it as grant. So after period of time, whatever read operation, write operation privileges I have given to him, those I want to take back. So therefore, I will be using to take back or to delete that items, I will be using this revoke command. So grant and revoke, they are going to fall with the data control language. So DDL followed by DCL followed by DML. And next thing was, there are 2 words. One we are going to call here as a commit operation and rollback operation. So we want to freeze the items. We want to say that these items are done. So at that case, there are still no more insertions to happen. So that is the end of that record. So you want to make that as a permanent. Then you are going to use the word called as a commit. So the changes what you are going to make, that to state that it is going to be an end of a transaction, at that case we will be using this command commit. And the other word, what we are going to say that I just want to go for a undo phase. I just want to go for an undo phase, that is one step backward. So at that time, we will be using the command called as a rollback. So to move forward, again, we will use a redo operation that it is going to be part of the IAIRES command. So algorithm in two-phase locking protocols you will be getting. So how is this ARIS algorithm implemented means it is going to be taken up with the two commands called as commit, and it is working with another command called as rollback. So this is what the holistic architecture of putting you the different commands in the SQL. So after this, let us look at this word called as a SQL data types. So there are basically the data types what we can mention here. So one we are going to call here as a character data, another we call it as a numeric or an with this integer data or non-integer data. So what will be the operations? You can say here you are doing arithmetic operation, comparison operation, logic operations. So how you are going to do, I will just show you here. So first, this is a technical MCQ question mostly asked. What is the difference between character and varchar2? If I am going to say char n, so char of 10, and I am going to use BVRM, so only 4 positions of characters are used and 6 positions are still, I can say it is unused. So it is unused here, and this 4 positions we are going to call it as used case. So the 6 unused memory locations are going to be a storage problem which a character is going to if I'm going to say it is BVRM. So what happens was if I'm taking so again there is a technical problem. So when we are going to define this with character, yeah, we can say that the size is fixed and memory locations are going to be wasted. When we are talking about a varchar, obviously how much size we have given, those money are taken, and rest the items will be reused. So I am going to say BVRM, it occupies 4 and 6 are going to be unused. So this memory location can be reused and restored to another content. So that's the reason why we are calling here as a var, that is it is treating it as a variable word. So that is variable length. Yeah, fine. The next word here will be the differences between the 3 contents, small int, the integer, and an int. So you can see here the values.
Sir, you are on mute, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So we have this decimal part and fraction part. So numeric part, it is going to occupy 3 positions. One, it is going to occupy 1 position. So 456.7. So obviously this part we are going to call it as a decimal, and this we call it as a fraction part. So here decimal part we have to call it as a precision part, and fraction part we have to call it as a scale part. So this was the difference what we have to understand here. So now the second case was I am going to have this 3 comma 2 here. In this 3 comma 2, 3 elements are there, 1, 2, 3. In this I am going to have 2 elements which I am going to decide it for the fraction part. Similarly, if I am going to put this 3 comma 3 here, all the three elements, they are going to be stored in the fraction part, or we are going to call it as a scale part, because the number size is 3 and all the 3 elements, they are going to be part of the number here. Similarly, the size is equals to 3, and in this 3 I am going to divide 2 elements and 1 element at here. So these 2 parts, they are going to occupy the precision part, and 1 part it is going to occupy the scale. So in this way we have the lot of way of representing the numbers. So another way of putting the elements here, you can see this. This is so this enough. I think this slide will be more meaningful itself than the other examples. So number, we are going to show it here as 3. In this 3, we are going to put 1 element as a scale. So obviously 2 elements, they will be moved to the decimal part, and 1 element we are going to move it into the scale part. So this is how we are going to bring up the data type representations here. So you are aware of these operations, no much emphasis here. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all the operations are possible. And this is the takeaway you should understand. In other languages, there is a way of representing not equals to, but in SQL, you have to put less than and greater than symbol, and thereby you should put the word not equals to. And you are making some comparison here. You are going to make some comparison operation. So when we are going to do up this comparison operation, when you are going to do up this comparison operator, you can see it is returning the Boolean result. It is going to bring the Boolean result at this point of time. So when we are talking about the Boolean result, so you can say whether 15 equals to 5 false, whether 15 not equals to 5 it is true. In this way we get a content in form of comparison operator, and the return type what you are going to assume, that one it is going to be of a Boolean variable. Next, the other word was range. So when we are going to put a range, we will give a word called as a between. So I can see, put up this example. I will be taking a variable called as salary, and salary is between the minimum range and salary is between the maximum range. So in this way you can bring out using the keyword called as a between. So using between, we are going to call here as a range. Next one, I can say the person, he can be assistant professor, he can be an associate professor, or he can be a professor. So in this way, if we are going to bring the things, so now one person should be belonging to either one category. So obviously we will go with some list of items. So using list of items, we are going to call here as a in, using in. Next one, we have some wildcard searching. We call it as wildcard searches. In this wildcard searches, the first thing can be uppercase letter and remaining things can be any. At that time, we are going to use a percentage symbol. But if I want to go for an exact match, then obviously we will use a hyphen. So this is important takeaway for you. If I am going to use percentage, obviously the first character should be yes, uppercase, and remaining thing can be anything. But if I am going to put a hyphen mark at that case, there is no other alternative, there is no other choice. We should have a exact match. So that is the difference between using the two wild cards where we are going to call them as character pattern. Similarly, we do have the logic operators. We have and, or, and not. So you are already flexible in using between greater than and less than with one condition, another condition. This is condition number 1 and condition number 2. Between these two conditions, you are able to use these two values like and, or not. So this is how you are going to put up. One, we call it as arithmetic operators. Two, we call it as logic operators. Three, we made this one as a comparison operators, etc. So how you are going to make a evaluation of an expression? It is obviously the BODMAS rule. One, it goes first with the brackets, then it is going to brackets off, then it is going with the division followed by multiplication, followed by addition, and followed by subtraction. So this is the sequence. There is no violation of the BODMAS rule when we are going to solve the arithmetic expressions. We will talk about the introductory part of DDL first two, and then we will stop the class. So creating of a table and dropping of a table, etc. These are some of the operations what we get here. So you have an inbuilt editor here. So I suggest all the students to practice the SQL commands with the inbuilt editor. So I will show you one so that you can practice with all the operations. So the very advantage here the InfytQ portal was there is no other option to go outside and execute the lab exercise to have an hand-on exposure. So already what they were telling was, I'm going to create a table here with the student name, and then it was told that table name with create command with student ID, and you are going to put some constraint. Definitely value should be available. So how can I talk to a computer? Definitely it should be available means I'm going to put a constraint called as not null. And similarly, first name should not be empty, and last name, if it is available, you can go with it. So in this way, you are going to bring up the query directly, and thereby when you are going to hit on the run button, so you can see this, the table is going to be created, and the table schema, whatever schema we are going to pretend. So schema here, so that is not null has to be there. It belongs to the data type number. It belongs to the data type varchar2. In this way, it is going to bring up the schema. And when we are going to switch to the second tab, second tab, what it is going to show us, it is going to make the checkbox here, and it will give us what type of errors may rise when we are going to do the insert operation. For us, we will always like the second option, that is valid record. So it gives a valid record here, 1001 Alex and some F. So if I can change this to my last name, and if I'm going to hit on the run, so column is not going to be allowed here. So I should put a single quotes at this case, and let me try whether it goes. So obviously character data is going to be there. So character data, it should be put in either single quotes or it should be put in double quotes. So that's how it is going to bring. And similarly, you can try with debugging. So if I'm going to put an invalid record and if I'm going to run, then what type of error it is going to occupy. So it is not that when we learn something, we should also learn if something goes wrong, what is the error we are going to get. So both sides of a coin we should be able to understand. So for that you can say org. So there's an Oracle command, and it shows that from where this has went wrong. Similarly, when we are going to try with some empty string, again it shows that what type of error it is going to get. So in this way, we will have enough hands-on exposure when we are going to work with SQL commands. So from tomorrow class, we will work with the exercise part, that is the DDL part and DML part, and see how the SQL commands are going to work. So this is all for today, and I'm really sorry for the inconvenience for the network issues it was happening. So for us, there is no other alternative rather than using this internet with either a Wi-Fi or the cable.